In today's video, we're giving Superman an extreme make-under. Yep, it's bad. Hello super friends, and welcome back to another episode of Superhero Saturday, where we talk about the arts of superheroes, storytelling, and so much more. Today we're working on a video idea I had back before I got sick, and I think it's gonna be really fun. At least it was for me, so I hope it is for you guys. On this channel, I have done a whole lot of content on the history of superheroes and superhero costumes in particular. And in my exploration of history, I've seen a lot of really great character designs, a handful that could be better but aren't terrible, and then some that are just truly awful. The funny thing is that these terrible redesigns, while thankfully few and far between, are actually kind of like really funny to the general audience of fans of the character. They've become kind of an inside joke, so you can go back and say, oh man, remember that one time when Wonder Woman had an all-black suit, or remember the nipples from that one Batman movie? It's like, what were they even thinking? And sometimes you can kind of extrapolate where they were going with an idea and why it really just did not last very well and didn't do what the artists were intending. So I had the idea that I could take classic popular superhero characters and give them a complete redesign in an idea that is really not very good for the character and comes out looking really awful, but not in just a typical crazy way. You could just slap a clown costume, some cowboy boots, and a snapback hat on Superman and call it a day. But that's not what I want to do with this video. What I want to do is redesign Superman's costume in a way that kind of has some logic behind it, some direction, but still comes out truly terrible and something we would hope never comes across the big screen or in the comic books or anywhere where we can see Superman wearing this costume in action. At least not in this universe. So with this challenge in mind, I set out to create 3 truly terrible costumes for the king of superheroes, Superman. Let's get started. For this first design, I wanted to kind of go off of the idea of the king of Krypton. In this kind of alternate universe situation, Kal-El becomes kind of like the king of Krypton. For some reason, whatever story goes behind it, maybe half the planet gets destroyed and Kal-El is one of the last people surviving, and it's kind of a crazy, chaotic type of atmosphere on the planet. No government, anarchy everywhere, and also a weird amount of hip-hop influence. So for this redesign, I gave him a crown with the Superman logo on it, some sunglasses, and a lot of hair dye, plus this weird onesie costume that has like hammer pants and a cape that comes out from the inside, is unnecessarily long and regal, and just kind of something that would have way too much material and get in the way of what one would think crime fighting would be. I also left the front of the costume open a little bit so you can see, you know, chest hair and everything on that. Ooh, scandalous. Because a lot of the terrible redesigns that I've seen have oftentimes done something really weird and unorthodox with the usual superhero symbol, especially ones that are on the chest. So for this one, he doesn't even really have that visible on him. He doesn't have that emblem. It's kind of just a white pentagon, and he's got the zipper down so you can't even see it. I also went ahead and pared back the coloring on this so that it's really just the blue and the yellow and there's no red in sight. And then to kind of like give it a cleaner look that would provide a little bit of a royal and maybe spacey and maybe super future-y look was just a clean white. There are a few extra little details here and there to kind of give it some style, but basically this is just a pajama costume. I imagine it would be incredibly comfortable, except maybe the cape would get in the way a little bit, and the hammer pants? I don't know. It's just kind of really out there, but I wanted it to kind of show a little bit of a side of Superman in an alternate universe that is definitely not the Clark Kent style that we've come to know and love. Someone who is a little bit of a spoiled prince kind of thing, and then becomes the king of Krypton. That's kind of where I went with it. I actually really dig the colors together, although it's distinctly not Superman. Definitely don't think it would go over well as a redesign if introduced today, unless it was in an alternate universe. terrible redesign I'm calling Super One Piece. And this kind of goes the opposite direction of the previous design. Whereas that one was really baggy and really loose and really cool, this one is very tight, very red, and unnecessarily solid, I guess you would say. Just imagine if instead of the underoos, the whole costume was like that. I turned the whole costume red. I made everything way unnecessarily tight. I turned the logo into that yellow and blue one to kind of offset the red. This is actually probably my least favorite color design of Superman's logo, so I definitely thought that that would qualify us as terrible. And then he's got, for some reason, this like super tight hood that just has a little bit of his curly Q hair sticking out of the side of it. And just for a little bit of extra terrible flair on this one-piece suit, his face is visible and his fingertips are visible. Why? I don't know. I also gave him this interesting, like, uneven cape in the back that's like pointed down and longer in the middle. I haven't seen a lot of capes like this, but it looks really weird next to the very tight suit. And with the blue inside to kind of just give it that little bit of extra weirdness, I feel like this harkens back to, I want to say, like Flash Gordon or like this Atomic Space Age kind of Superman, where like maybe this is some kind of like radiation suit. Maybe if this was a design with some logic behind it, this could be one of those suits that enables him to have or maintain more of his solar powered energy inside of his body and keep it from getting drained out by, say, a red sun. As far as the fingertips and the face being visible, flexibility, movability, tactile, sensory? I don't know. The idea being that at least Superman can kind of interact with the world in this manner, but with very minimal skin visible. Just what is needed to sense what's going on in his environment. Definitely an interesting take. I definitely wouldn't want a lot of people cosplaying in this costume, but it is a fun and interesting way to think of Superman being in some kind of extraplanetary wasteland where he has to figure out how to get back to Earth, maybe, or interact with a strange alien species, something like that. Our next and final design comes off of a little bit of a concept that I've gotten from a few of the other terrible redesigns that I've seen from the past. And that is where a character designer tries to pull stuff from the modern or contemporary fashion styles and apply it unnecessarily and over the top to these superhero costumes to make them look extra fashionable and extra chic and extra cool. So this one is kind of pulled from a few elements that I've seen have been more popular in the last few years. The first of which is khaki making a comeback. Desaturation of colors in general is kind of something that I've seen on maybe the fashion horizon. Not saying that I'm fashionable at all. I will always gravitate toward bright colors. He also has this weird kind of like sweater vest type thing that looks like super posh and like maybe, you know, runway style something, I don't know, with like this puffy collar that maybe could be fur or some kind of like really soft fabric. It's loose and a little bit tied in on the shoulders so that you can still see his muscles, but not super tight. And it doesn't have the big emblem right in the front of his chest. Instead, it's posed as a kind of brooch or something right at the button where his, you know, vest kind of comes together. He also has a bit of a turtleneck going on underneath and some low ankle boots instead of the, you know, rugged kind of get down and dirty fighting the bad guys kind of boots that he's seen in the past. And a nice clean cut short cape that's goldish on the outside and that creamy white color on the inside, kind of like almost like expensive or luxurious kind of color. And then something completely unnecessary, a hat that matches with the kind of monochrome neutrals that the rest of the costume has. Why on earth would you want to fly around or fight crime with a hat on? I don't know. Let's just say he has some kind of super bobby pins holding that hat down on his head. So this might be a costume that some kind of artist, in an attempt to look super cutting edge and fashionable and bring this character into the modern era, kind of goes over the top and pushes this into a little bit too casual, but also a little bit too common and a little bit too just out there for something that should have a utilitarian purpose of serving Superman, keep him clothed while he is fighting crime. Honestly, I feel like I like this costume the best just because I had a lot of fun with the colors on it, but it's still terrible, and they're all really pretty terrible, and they come from very different thought ideas, but you know what? There you have it. Those are my 3 terrible redesigns for Superman's costume of steel. Is that a thing? It was a lot of fun to take some serious consideration into how some concepts for character redesigns, some motivations might be taken a little bit too far, and drawing these things has been actually a lot of fun while I've been sick. So how do you guys think I did? Do you think any of these count as being truly terrible? Which one is your favorite, or rather least favorite? And I challenge you guys to come up with your own terrible redesigns for your favorite superhero characters. It's really a good practice to stretch your creative muscles and kind of get something out of the box for what you might usually create. Because who knows, sometimes out of a terrible idea, you might pull a little fragment of a really great idea. And that's all that we have for you guys today. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more in the future, and check out my own superheroes who hopefully have better costume designs than these at www.fearless9.com. Thanks again for watching, Super Friends, and we'll see you next time.